For the Q&A session, so we're gonna have question from the participants. Jadi bisa memberikan pertanyaannya itu secara direct atau secara langsung kepada speaker, atau juga bisa menuliskan di kolom chat pertanyaan-pertanyaan yang mungkin tidak bisa tersampaikan secara langsung. Dan dengan ketersediaan waktu yang ada, kita berharap semua pertanyaan dan juga komentar dari peserta sekalian bisa terjawab. Oke. Untuk itu kami buka sesi Q&A. Silakan Bapak, Ibu, dan rekan-rekan sekalian yang ingin bertanya secara langsung juga kami persilakan. Saya pikir ini juga kesempatan yang bagus kalau rekan-rekan sekalian ingin bertanya pakai bahasa Inggris, ya. Ini juga bagian dari mungkin teman-teman membiasakan untuk mempraktekkan bahasa Inggrisnya, mungkin langsung bisa kepada Ibu Nayara maupun Ibu Esti.
Sudah ada yang raise hand tuh Pak Yamin, maaf.
Ada yang raise hand. Oke, kita ada satu yang raise hand untuk penanya langsung, Laode Fikri. Kami persilakan.
Can I audible?
Mungkin bisa memperkenalkan diri dulu dengan institusi.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Laode Fikri Akal Mursidi. You can call me Fikri. I come from the local government in Tual City in Maluku Province. So I'm a civil servant that really interested to continue my master study in, especially in public policy. So maybe the question is, somehow I do my research about the courses, the subject that I'm looking for, especially aligned with my what I'm working on. For example, like, yeah, I work in the scope of community and village empowerment. So I faced the problem with society and community. But somehow, when I do research in the, especially in the university that I want to apply, the subject is not available in the next year that I want to apply in the next year, for example. But the subject or the courses is already happen maybe in this year or maybe in the maybe in the previous year. So the question is that considerable, kayak pertimbangan untuk, apakah itu bisa menjadi pertimbangan untuk tetap saya apply in that university or not? Maybe the campus is flexible to offering the courses or the subject that I'm looking for the next year, or maybe two next year. I think that's enough. Thank you so much.
Baik Pak rekan Laode Fikri, ya. Terima kasih atas pertanyaannya. Mungkin is the question clear for Nayara and Bu Esti? Oh ya, silakan. Silakan dijawab. We langsung saja pertanyaannya dijawab.
Can we answer? Like, can you hear? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you, Nayar.
Oh, okay.
You want to answer?
Yes, I will answer. You are interested in doing a master's degree program, right? In public advocacy So with Arizona State, just a general information for students interested in studying like a master's degree program, the admission requirements is going to be very specific to that program. And they start at different times, and some require letter of recommendations and some don't. So that's why I always recommend the students that are interested in studying a master's degree to connect with the college directly because they are the experts in the matter. So if let's say the college is the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, you would connect with them directly instead of the general admissions about your specific goals and understand why some courses are not offered now, why only at certain time of the year. And I believe that ASU is a strong belief in interdisciplinary studies. So that's something that is offered for bachelor's degree as well. So I don't see why you can't customize your courses based on what you want to like study and then research for that particular semester. Okay, and what will be the next question?
Oke, mungkin Mbak itu apakah ada yang mau ditambahkan?
Okay, probably an additional suggestion, and I agree with Nayara. You can always consult with the faculty about the specific subject that you want to study, but it's very rare actually if ASU doesn't have that subject, because most of the time is that there are more and more subjects that I was very confused to pick because it was a lot. But if you think that your specific subject is really needed and is really important to your career and to your study, and you can always consult, is there like any other alternatives or some other options to substitute the subject with the provided subjects in the university that you apply for, something like that, probably.
Oke,
Okay, thank you
cukup
so
ya
much.
kalau Dev Fikri.
Thank
Baik,
you.
terima kasih banyak atas pertanyaan dan juga jawaban dari pembicara. Kita langsung saja ke penanya kedua, ada Ibu Mbak Maftuha Aulia, ya. Silakan, kami persilakan.
Halo, good morning. Sebelumnya terima kasih ya atas kesempatannya. Izin menggunakan bahasa Indonesia ya, Kak ya. Jadi saya mau bertanya kepada Ibu Mira, karena Ibu Mira saat ini udah meninggalkan SEM, mungkin nanti Kak Estu bisa membantu menjawab ya, Kak ya. Jadi kan saya sekarang kan masih kuliah, Kak ya, di semester 5, dan kebetulan saya ambil diploma 3. Nah, tahun depan saya ada rencana untuk ambil S1 di jenjang, yaitu 1 tahun masa kuliahnya. Nah, setelah itu saya ada rencana untuk ambil master di Arizona. Nah, untuk kayak nilai transkripnya atau ijazahnya tuh dibutuhkannya saya upload kayak itu dari diploma dan S1 atau hanya S1 aja, Kak, untuk dokumennya itu. Thank you, Kak.
Okay, baik, Maftuha. Well, probably I will just explain a brief to Nayara. So actually, her question is that about the official transcript for master's degree. Is it required only the bachelor's certificate, or because she's also doing a diploma? And I don't know about the ASU latest requirements, but as long as I know, is the latest official transcript. Jadi yang kemudian digunakan waktu saya itu, karena saya nggak ambil diploma ya, jadi syarat terakhir saja, hanya yang S1. Tapi kalau itu nanti modelnya adalah transfer, jadi ada beberapa kredit yang itu tidak muncul di official transcript yang bachelor, maka saran saya itu juga dimasukkan untuk official transcript yang diploma, karena universitas nanti akan memberikan penilaian terkait dengan transkrip itu secara komprehensif gitu. Kecuali kalau memang transkrip untuk bachelor's degree it's already complete with everything, so it's okay to just submit for the bachelor's degree official transcript. Itu.
Thank you, Kak.
Oke, udah cukup ya. Is there any additional information, Nayara, for the question, or is okay?
No, that is the process. The graduate,
Yep.
the graduate college.
Oke, baik.
I'll just
Untuk penanya secara langsung yang direct itu sudah 2. Kami akan memilih lagi 2 penanya yang ada di kolom chat. There are some question at the chat box, and some of them has been answered, or the information have been provided by Nayara. Thank you. But there are also some question that I think it can be addressed to Bu Estu dan juga Miss Nayara.
Yeah, I see
Ada
about the ELTIS. I see one
Iya.
question about the ELTIS. Okay. The ELTIS, the question is not in English, but the ELTIS is one of the English exams that we accept if you apply for undergraduate or graduate. The specific score is gonna depend. I don't have like memorized, but if you don't achieve the minimum score, you're not gonna receive a full admission. You can always retake it and then resend it, but it's important to achieve the minimum scores to be fully admitted to that program. And then somebody else had asked about the TOEFL. Oh, yes. So if you well, sometimes students say, "Oh, my English is bad." And it turns out your English is not bad. Your English is very good. And sometimes students feel not confident a little bit. So I've been there in that situation. So have faith in yourself. So your English is probably better than you think. But if you have not achieved the score necessary, like I said, you can retake it. The TOEFL is just one of the options. You don't have to take that one. You can take the Duolingo, which is a cheaper test actually, and it's the most popular test that students are taking. So I would recommend for you to try to take the Duolingo. And if you doesn't achieve the score, you can participate on the Global Launch intensive English classes. You can do it online or in person. And once you pass it, once you apply for your degree program, that will be waived. So we won't ask for you to do another test. So that's an option that to be considered.
Oke, kalau dari pengalaman Mbak Estu sendiri terkait dengan support sistem untuk mendukung bahasa Inggris mahasiswa di sana seperti apa?
Practice more and more, and I think it's very important from Nayara's perspective to always consult, because the resources are like you can find very accessible. There is mentorship, there is writing centers, there is also some English groups that are created by students. So the resources are there. It's always up to you whether you will take it or not. But I think that the university give and accommodate as much as they can, so you will not be left behind, something like that.
Oke, baik. Terima kasih Mbak Estu. This is still related the question from Theopelus ya. Ini tentang living cost. Ya, bisa mungkin share living cost di Arizona, khususnya mungkin di ASU.
Nayara, probably I'll share mine first. And you can add some more, Nayara.
Yes. Mhm. Yes.
So at that time, I got a stipend of 1100,000 per month. It's quite difficult at the time because the apartment rent is already 650 and the electricity will run about like 50 and I have like 200 for the grocery. So dari $1.100 itu $650 itu untuk apartemen, $50 untuk listrik, sisanya berarti ada $400 itu kita harus pintar-pintar membagi untuk belanja bulanan, grocery untuk masak, dan kalau misalkan teman-teman juga tertarik ya untuk exploring some other states, maka you have to save and like to think more to find cheaper apartments. And I think that cheaper apartments are also available, but the conditions probably will be different with the 650 that I paid because it's a two bedrooms and one bathroom attached apartment. So I think it's quite comfortable. And it will depend on how you live in the US and how you live in Tempe or Phoenix, because if it's more than 3 or 4 people in an apartment, probably it will increase the potential conflicts with your roommates. Jadi bagaimana kita mempertimbangkan how to choose roommate is also an important part, like to decide how your life will go on for the next 2 years for master's degree, something like that, for the living cost. Probably Nayara, you can add more because I don't know the current updates in Phoenix and Tempe. I read the articles that the apartment are raising high.
You know, like I tell the students, it is I mean, okay, so Arizona in general, the cost of living is cheaper than other populous states that international students want to go to. So that's one of the reasons why I chose Arizona, because it wasn't exorbitant. Is it cheap? Is it like the cheapest place in the United States or in the world? No, it's not. So that's why it's important for you to make a very firm decision to see if this is the correct experience for you to come and study at ASU. But even if it is, you're still a young person. You still have to budget. You don't have like a real job, to pay for everything. But the students hustle. Students work on campus. And that's something students can do to gain experience. You can work on campus. And the regulation has you can only work 20 hours a week. That's one of the options you can consider. But when I was a student, I did not live on campus because I could not afford it. So I lived with a host family that sponsored me. So I was fortunate in that way. So ASU doesn't have like a host family database. So unfortunately, we don't recommend. And even if students try to do that on their own, you have to be careful. It could be weird, strange people. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what you're signing. Contracts are very different than from your home country. So trust the university. It may be a little bit more expensive, but if you can afford it, it's going to be safer and trustworthy instead of looking for some random family or host family. After your first year, you can live with your friends. You have already built like a thing in a community that you know more. That's what I recommend. I was assigned a family. I knew this family from before. So that was a different situation. And there are many, many host families that host every year. But it's something you can look into just to try to see. But I'm not endorsing it because you have to worry about your safety too.
Oke, baik. Terima kasih. Thank you very much for the answer and the information. Saya juga menambahkan bahwa terkait dengan living cost itu berbeda-beda ya di setiap negara bagian, tadi juga sudah disampaikan oleh Nayara. Dan kalau penerima beasiswa biasanya anggaran beasiswanya juga itu ditentukan akan sesuai dengan living cost. Biasanya living cost di daerah itu atau di state itu tinggi, beasiswanya juga itu berbeda bagi mahasiswa yang tinggal di daerah yang living cost-nya rendah. Mungkin seperti itu ya. Jadi kalau ada beasiswa itu insya Allah nanti beasiswanya juga akan menyesuaikan. Oke. I would like to invite, ini ada satu pertanyaan yang ditulis di kolom chat dari Fawaidul Amalia. I think mungkin kalau bisa disampaikan secara langsung akan juga sangat bagus supaya kita bisa berinteraksi secara langsung. Saya mengundang kepada Mbak Fawaidul Amalia bisa menanyakan secara langsung pertanyaannya. Oke, ada satu yang sudah raise hand ini ada Pak Asis Wahyudi. Halo Pak Asis.
Halo Pak Yamin.
Iya Pak, kami persilakan Pak kepada Bapak dulu untuk bertanya secara langsung.
Hi Nayara, I'm Asis. I'd like to ask about question. I wanted to question. As we know that Arizona is a part of the country, in the US, and what do you think? We as Muslim in USA, is it safe for us to live there? And secondly, how we can find like kind of halal food that available there? I mean that no pork and something like that. Is it easy for us to find close to the ASU, or what do you think?
And that's an excellent question, and then I always tell the student our mission statement when we say we're an inclusive university, we measure ourselves not by whom we exclude, but by whom we include. So we welcome students from all different faiths, and you certainly had the opportunity to practice your faith here. One of my students, workers that works with me, he takes breaks during his work time to pray, and that's totally acceptable. So I haven't seen any violence, anything done to students or staff that are Muslim in our campus. And certainly if were to happen, we're going to take measures. We don't tolerate that in our culture here. But there is the ASU police that the students can connect with, that is available to all the students on the campus. And all of that, I never experienced any weird stuff or violence when our students or as a staff. And in terms of shopping, the different foods, I think you have that available here. And I always tell my family in Brazil that, or in the United States, you can find everything. You can buy anything. So I don't worry about that. I think you will. In fact, the International Student Office, just a minute here, sorry. Sorry, my dog. Anyway, so at the International Student Office, they organize activities where they take students to different grocery stores, international students, that will show them, oh, here, this is where you can buy this, buy that Latin food, and things like that. And if you're looking for that, we have those resources that you can be able to find as a student.
Oke,
Thank
Mbak itu
you.
ada yang mau ditambahkan?
Ya, mungkin menambahkan sedikit Mas Asis bahwa halal foods itu tersedia di beberapa supermarket. Mungkin kalau yang harganya terjangkau itu agak jauh dari kampus, tapi masih bisa diakses dengan public transportation. Tapi kalau mau yang dekat sekali dengan kampus, tersedia cuma harganya agak lebih mahal. Itu menjadi pilihan dari Mas Asis. Lalu apakah Muslim terutama itu safe? Kalau laki-laki menurut saya lebih aman ya. Tapi kalau perempuan with hijab, probably the insecurity feelings is from the inside. But from what I learned, I've never get like a harassment during my study at ASU. But recently, I saw the news update that ASU already dismisses a scholar after a video of him verbally attack a woman in hijab during Palestinian and Israeli tensions. So I think it's quite a commitment from ASU to stand with all the racism going on and Islamophobia too.
Oke, makasih Mbak Estu. There is also another question about the study objective and of the challenge studying in USA. Maybe you can address that.
Ya, mungkin sekalian saja terkait dengan isu topik apa saja yang bisa diupdate atau diangkat untuk studi objektif di wilayah afirmasi. Menurut saya, apapun yang menjadi interest dari Bapak, Ibu, dan teman-teman, terutama perspektif dari East Indonesia, itu akan menarik untuk diajukan. Karena kalau kita lihat memang dari sisi diskrepensi ya, ada gap gitu, misalkan dari Bapak, Ibu, dan teman-teman lihat ada perbedaan perlakuan atau perbedaan infrastruktur yang ada di Indonesia Timur dengan bagian yang lain yang ada di Indonesia, mungkin itu bisa menjadi satu topik tersendiri, entah itu di isu infrastruktur pendidikan, atau kalau dari sisi STEM mungkin research facilities yang tersedia di bagian Indonesia Timur itu tidak cukup memadai. Itu menurut saya akan menjadi satu input yang menarik yang bisa diconsider oleh kampus dan juga scholarship. Jadi apapun itu dari bagian Indonesia Timur itu bisa menjadi modal bagi Bapak, Ibu, dan teman-teman untuk di dalamnya lebih lanjut. Saya pikir justru yang dicari itu, gitu, perspektif dari wilayah afirmasi, dari wilayah Papua, dari wilayah Maluku. Karena saya tahu juga kalau misalkan di Patimura University has also have some locations. Ada beberapa kampus di Maluku Barat Daya, ada juga kampus di Aru Island. I think it's also giving some other perspective that probably similar with some other universities in the US or probably different. Mungkin itu untuk yang studi objektif. Lalu yang masalah biggest challenge itu sebetulnya adalah komitmen untuk menyelesaikan, komitmen to finish my study within the timeline gitu. Karena master's degree itu diwajibkan 2 years of study. Jadi saya pikir untuk menjalankan komitmen bisa selesai di waktu 2 tahun itu butuh effort fisik, effort mental, effort fokus. Ada banyak sekali, there are like lots of entertainments out there, but you have to stick to your commitment to finish your study. I think it's the biggest challenge, but it's doable, and also I think everyone can try, because it's also an opportunity for you to explore new challenge, something like that.
Oke. Terima kasih banyak Mbak Estu ya sudah menjawab pertanyaan yang disampaikan oleh teman-teman di kolom chat maupun pertanyaan secara langsung. Saya kira untuk sesi Q&A sudah selesai. Now we have finished with the Q&A session. The end of our session, and as moderator, I will have like about 10 minutes as well to share my experience studying in the USA, still in Arizona, but not in ASU, the U of A, ya, the University of Arizona. Untuk rekan-rekan sekalian yang punya mimpi ataupun punya keinginan untuk melanjutkan studi, kita semua punya kesempatan yang sama untuk bisa melanjutkan studi kita, khususnya untuk bisa mendapatkan beasiswa, terlepas apakah kita datang dari bagian Indonesia Tengah, Timur, atau Barat. Saya pikir kita semua punya kesempatan yang sama, apalagi sekarang akses informasi itu tersebar begitu cepat dan merata. Tidak kalau dulu mungkin ketika kita belum mengenal yang namanya media sosial ya, itu informasinya kadang masih tertulis dan itu hanya seputaran mungkin di daerah Jawa saja, Jakarta. Tapi sekarang saya pikir informasi tentang beasiswa dan pulang-pulangnya itu sudah tersebar dengan baik. I think we have to take these advantages of getting the information as much as possible that we need. Which country that we want to study or which university that we want to go to, do some research ya, lakukan beberapa penelitian apakah keinginan studi saya itu bisa terfasilitasi dengan baik di universitas yang ingin saya tuju. Saya penerima beasiswa prestasi USAID itu tahun 2014, kemudian studinya itu nanti tahun 2015. 2015 sampai 2017 di Tucson. Itu satu kota juga yang ada di Arizona namanya Tucson, dan di situ ada universitas yang cukup besar juga namanya The University of Arizona. Kalau tadi informasinya kayak di ASU jumlah international student-nya itu sampai 15.000 siswa kurang lebih ya, 15,000 international student. Kalau di University of Arizona, ini namanya hampir mirip-mirip ya, dia punya Arizonanya juga ya. Itu dia jumlah international student-nya itu di sekitar 1.500 sampai 2.000 international student. Itu banyak datang dari Timur Tengah, dari Cina, banyak juga dari India. Jadi masih tetap multi diverse university. Pengalaman terbesar yang saya dapatkan ketika studi di USA itu yang pertama adalah merubah mindset saya, pola pikir saya yang mungkin awalnya itu sangat terbatas dengan apa yang ada di sekeliling saya, di daerah saya. Ketika melanjutkan studi itu betul-betul mind blowing perubahan yang kita rasakan. Kita berjumpa dengan orang-orang yang berbeda secara budaya, berbeda negara, ya bahasa, dan kadang perbedaannya itu begitu jomplang sekali sampai kita membutuhkan waktu untuk bisa menerima dan menjadikan itu bagian dari grow mindset kita. Itu yang pertama. Dan yang kedua yang saya rasakan adalah ketika kita studi di luar negeri itu sepertinya saya merasa bahwa kita lebih cinta dengan tanah air. Kenapa? Ada hal-hal yang mungkin sebelumnya kita tidak apresiasi ketika kita berada di daerah kita sendiri. Ketika kita ada di luar negeri, itu kita langsung mengapresiasi karena hal-hal itu tidak terjadi di sekitar kita pada saat kita studi ya. Sebagai contoh misalnya terkait dengan bagaimana hubungan kekeluargaan kita ketika misalnya di luar negeri, di mana mungkin kita berpikir orang sangat individualis, kemudian fokus dengan pekerjaan yang sebenarnya itu juga tidak sebetulnya benar. Tapi ketika kita melihat ke Indonesia bahwa sistem kekeluargaan kita itu sangat kental sekali dan yang mungkin hal-hal yang kita masih kurang apresiasi. Yang ketiga, pengalaman merasakan studi di universitas di Amerika Serikat itu sesuatu yang luar biasa. Kita mendapatkan pelayanan akademik yang betul-betul tuntas dan komprehensif. Dan saya rasakan walaupun kemampuan bahasa Inggris saya tidak terlalu bagus saat studi tahun 2015 tersebut, tapi support system yang diberikan oleh kampus itu luar biasa. Jadi ketika kita punya masalah dengan tugas, itu ada satu support center yang kemudian kita bisa berinteraksi, kemudian meminta asistensi penjelasan terkait dengan tugas yang kita punya. Mereka sangat menghindari plagiasi, tapi kita diberikan kesempatan, kita diberikan support system yang begitu baik sekali untuk kita kemudian bisa menulis dengan baik, menulis dengan akademik style, ya, menulis dengan akademik diksi yang bagus, dan itu betul-betul terbantu, kira itu. Dan untuk teman-teman yang mungkin sekarang lagi kuliah di Universitas Patimura, informasi itu sudah diberikan sekarang dan mungkin sebelumnya teman-teman juga sudah mengetahui jalan itu sudah dibuka mari kita telusuri jalan yang sudah dibuka itu, kemudian kita tekadkan niat, semua pasti bisa. Kita bisa mengupgrade pendidikan kita, dan kalau kita bisa mengupgrade level pendidikan kita dengan bersekolah di luar negeri, itu nilai tambah yang luar biasa, yang kemudian pengalaman, ilmu, dan manfaatnya kita bisa kembalikan ke daerah kita, ke tempat di mana kita berada untuk memajukan pendidikan kita. Saya kira itu saja yang bisa saya sampaikan sebagai penutup. I wish all the best for all the students that have a willingness to continue their study, and